Hello, everybody. My name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine, right here in the city of Memphis in the county of State, Tennessee. Today's date is Sunday morning, November the 3rd, 2024. The time 11:54 a.m. First, I thank my family, my support for continue, continue keep myself employed in the Memphis tri-state area, continue to further my education, moral college line, continue to pursue my social research, being administrative, country, my present time, take a break and go to school. In the future, I'm gonna go back and earn my social degree as well as other degrees. And what I'm finna do right now, I'm finna start my Facebook Live. Hello, everybody. My name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine, right here in the city of Memphis in the county of State, Tennessee. Today's date is Sunday morning, November the 3rd, 2024. The time 11:55 a.m. First, I thank my family for my support for you. Continue to support. Continue to keep myself employed in the Memphis tri-state area. Continue to further my education, moral college line. Continue to pursue my social media, something being administrative, contract market, present time. Took a break, going to school. In the future, I'm gonna go back and earn my social degree as well as other degrees. Now, the names of God in the Old Testament. Now, we live in a day and time where we have artificial intelligence, so I'm getting some information. From sources on the web, we online, but this artificial intelligence stuff. Names of God in the Old Testament. Now we got sources from across the web. Now you always remember now the important citations, footnotes, references, sources. Names of God in the Old Testament. El Shaddai, Jehovah Shalom, Jehovah Tsidkenu, Jehovah Shammah, Jehovah Sabaoth, Jehovah Rapha, El Roy, Mighty God, Jehovah Nissi, Elohim, El Elyon, El Roy, El, Jehovah, Elohim, Alpha and Omega, Adonai, the Tetragrammaton, Yahweh, Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Roy, Jehovah Rapha, Abba, Jehovah, Mikodesh Kadim. What's that? Yahweh Roy. So again, those are names of God in the Old Testament. And like I said, important things to remember, citations, footnotes, references, and sources. Remember those, because we online, of course. We can go to the library now. We can go to the library here in the city of Memphis, Tennessee, Shelby County, main library on Poplar Avenue. We can go to the library. Now, of course, we live in a day and time. We got this artificial intelligence stuff. All right, let's go to God's name, names of God, New Testament. Like I said, it's artificial intelligence. From sources across the web. In the New Testament. Names of God in the New Testament. Elohim, El Shaddai, Jehovah Nissi, El, Jehovah Sabaoth, Abba, Emmanuel, Lord of Lords, Adonai, the Tetragrammaton, Yahweh, Jehovah Shalom, Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Shammah, Jehovah Roy, Jehovah, Mighty God, El Elyon, El Roy, Jehovah Sikkenu, Jehovah Rapha, Alpha and Omega, the Lord who sacrifices, King of Kings. Now, names of God in the New Testament, sources across the web, online. Now, again, we can go, here in the city of Memphis, state of Tennessee, Shelby County, the main library is on Poplar Avenue. Anytime you're ready now. Now let's click over here to BibleStudyTools.com. Coming from the New International Version, the Bible verse of the day. The Bible verse of the day is coming from the book of John. It's in the New Testament. The 14th chapter, verse 27. And it reads, Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. That's the Bible verse of the day, reading from the New International Version of the Holy Bible, coming from the book of John. It's in the New Testament, the 14th chapter, 27th verse. Now, we have today's Bible reading, coming from the 1 Timothy. That's the New Testament. Chapter 5, verse 23, and also chapter 6, verse 21. And also in the Old Testament, the book of Jeremiah, the 3rd and 4th chapter, and also the book of Psalms, verse 120. That's today's Bible reading. You have Bible study videos. You have featured verse topics. And you have popular Bible verses. For example, the book of John, the 3rd chapter, verse 16. The book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1. The book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 6. The book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 13. The book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 2. The book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 28. The book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 6. The book of Jeremiah, the 29th chapter, verse number 11. The book of Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, verse number 5. The book of Matthew, chapter 28, verse 19. You also have popular Bible commentaries. Today's inspiration, the daily verse, Romans, chapter 8, verse 28. And it reads, And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So again, that's today's inspiration, your daily verse, the book of Romans, the 8th chapter, verse 28. And we over here on BibleStudyTools.com. Now let's click over here, the Bible versions. On BibleStudyTools.com, you have the best known translations. For example, the Holman Christian Standard Bible, the English Standard Version, the King James Version, the Message Bible, New American Standard Bible, New International Version, the New King James Version, New Living Translation, New Revised Standard Version of the Bible. You have other translations, modern translation, the Bible in Basic English, the Common English Bible, the Complete Jewish Bible, Good News Translation, God's Word Translation, Hebrew Names Version, Jubilee Bible 2000, Lexham English Bible, New Century Version, New International Reader's Version, Orthodox Jewish Bible, Third Millennium Bible, World English Bible, Young's Literal Translation. You have older translations, American Standard Version, the Darby Translation, the Dewey Reams Catholic Bible, Revised Standard Version, the Tyndale Bible, the Latin Vulgate Bible, the Webster Bible, and the Wycliffe Bible. You have New Testament only Bibles. You have Spanish, Portuguese, French, German, Italian, Dutch, and Chinese Bibles. And again, we over here on BibleStudyTools.com. Let's click over to BibleGateway.com. Coming from the New International Version of the Holy Bible. The verse of the day is reading from the book of Romans. It's in the New Testament. The 13th chapter, verse number 1. And it reads, "Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God." And again, we're reading from the New International Version of the Holy Bible, coming from the book of Romans. It's in the New Testament, 13th chapter, verse number 1. And let's click over here to available versions. Available versions of the Holy Bible. We have language and version from A to Z. For example, you have the Amharic Bible, the New Amharic Standard Version, the Musgo Guerrero Bible, the Arabic Bible, Awadi Bible, Bulgarian Bible, Cibono Bible, the Cherokee Bible is New Testament, Sarani Bible, Kachika, Occidental, that's a Bible, the Czech Bible, Welsh Bible, Danish Bible. You have German Bibles. Then you have all these English Bibles. Then you have all these Spanish Bibles. You have a Persian, Farsi New Testament Bible. You have a Finnish Bible. You have French Bibles. You have Greek Bibles. You have Gujarati Bible, Hebrew Bibles, the Hindi Bible, Croatian Bibles, Haitian Creole version of the Bible, Hungarian Bibles. You have Hawaii Pidgin Bible, Icelandic Bible, Italian Bible, Japanese Bible, Chakotay Oriental Bible, Kekchi Bible, Korean Bible, Latin Bible, Luganda Bible, Maori Bible, Macedonian Bible, Marathi Bible, Mam Central and Mam Todo Santo Bible, Low German Bible, Nepali Bible, Nuhato Guerrero, Dutch Netherlands Bible, Norwegian Bible, Chichiba Bible, Oriya Bible, West Central Oromo Bible, Punjabi Bible, Polish Bible, Papia Bible, Portuguese Bible, Quechua Bible, Kachi Bible, that's Occidental Bible, Romanian Bible, Russian Bible, Slavic Bible, Somali Bible, Albanian Bible, Serbian Bible, Swedish Bible, Swahili Bible, Tamil Bible, Thai Bible, Tagalog Bible, Twi Bible, Ukrainian Bible, Urdu Bible, Uspantico Bible, Vietnamese Bible, Yoruba Bible, Chinese Bibles. So there's a lot of Bibles being translated from A to Z. So again, we read from BibleGateway.com. Now let's click over here. Talk about this Tetragrammaton. We're over on Wikipedia. Let me scroll down. Remember, citations, footnotes, references, and sources. All right. Okay. See also references and notes. All right. Citations. And we have sources and external links. And then when you see on Wikipedia, you also see notes, So these are things that you remember. Citations, footnotes, references, sources. And see, including in all that include, you can include notes. Because you have footnotes. Things to remember. It's important. Now, Tetragrammaton. We're over on Wikipedia. The quick reference. Is the four-letter Hebrew theonym. Theonym is a proper name of a deity, transliterated as capital Y, capital H, capital W, capital H, or capital Y, capital H, capital V, capital H. The name of God in the Hebrew Bible. The four letters written and read from right to left in Hebrew are Y-O-D-H, H-E, W-A-W, and H-E. The name may be derived from a verb that means to be, to exist, to cause to become, or to come to pass. While there is no consensus about the structure and etymology of the name, the form Yahweh is now accepted almost universally among biblical and Semitic linguistic scholars, though the vocalization Jehovah continues to have wide usage. The books of the Torah and the rest of the Hebrew Bible, except Esther, Ecclesiastes, and with a possible instance of it's Jah or Yah, is a short form of the Tetragrammaton. In verse 8:6, the Song of Songs contains this Hebrew name. Observant Jews and those who follow Talmudic Jewish tradition do not pronounce, nor do they read aloud proposed transcription forms such as Yahweh or Jehovah. Instead, they replace it with a different term, whether in addressing or referring to the God of Israel. Common substitutions in Hebrew are Adonai, literal translation, my lords, pluralis, majestatis, taken as singular, or Elohim, literally gods, but treated as singular when meaning God in prayer, or Hashim, the name in everyday speech. Four letters. The letters properly written and read from right to left in biblical Hebrew are Y-O-D, H-E, W-A-W, and H-E. The etymology. The Hebrew Bible explains about the formula. Translated, he transliterated, I am that I am. The name of God revealed to Moses in Exodus 3:14. This would frame capital Y, capital H, capital W, capital H as a derivation from the Hebrew triconsonantal root. To be, become, come to pass, with a third person masculine, Y prefix, equivalent to English, he, in place of the first person, thereby affording translations as he who causes to exist, he who is, etc. Although this would elicit the form capital Y, capital H, capital Y, capital H, not capital Y, capital H, capital W, capital H. To rectify this, some scholars propose that the Tetragrammaton derived instead from the triconsonantal root HWH, itself an archaic doublet of, with the final form eliciting similar translation as though derived from the same. As such, the consensus among modern scholars consider that capital Y, capital H, capital W, capital H represents a verbal form, with the Y representing the third masculine verbal prefix of the verb HYH, to be, as indicated in the Hebrew Bible. Now, vocalization. Like all letters in the Hebrew script, the letters in capital Y, capital H, capital W, capital H originally indicated consonants. In unpointed biblical Hebrew, most vowels are not written, but some are indicated ambiguously, as certain letters came to have a secondary function indicating vowels, similar to the Latin use of I and V to indicate either the consonants J, W or the vowels I, U. Hebrew letters used to indicate vowels are known as or matrix lexicons, mothers of reading. Therefore, it can be difficult to deduce how a word is pronounced from its spelling, and each of the four letters in the tetragrammaton can individually serve as a matrix lexicon. Several centuries later, between the 5th through 10th centuries CE, the original consonantal text of the Hebrew Bible was provided with vowel marks by the Masoretes to assist reading in places where the word to be read, the kiri, different from that indicated by the consonants of the written text, the ketiv. They wrote the kiri in the margin as a note showing what's to be read. In such a case, the vowel marks of the kiri were written on the ketiv. For a few frequent words, the marginal row note was omitted. These are called kiri perpetuum. One of the frequent cases was the tetragrammaton, which according to later rabbinic Jewish practice should not be pronounced but read as Adonai, literal translate my lords, pluralis, majestatis, taken as singular, or if the previous or next word already was Adonai, as Elohim, God, writing the vowel diacritics of these two words on the consonants, capital Y, capital H, capital V, capital A, produces, and respectively, ghost words. That would spell Jehovah and Yehovah, respectively. The oldest complete or nearly complete manuscripts of the Masoretic text with Tiberian vocalization, such as the Aleppo Codex and the Leningrad Codex, both of the 10th or 11th century, mostly write Yahweh with no point on the first H. It could be because the O diacritic point plays no useful role in distinguishing between Adonai and Elohim, and so it's redundant. Or it could point to the kiri being, which is Aramaic for the name, Yahweh. The scholarly consensus that the original pronunciation of the tetragrammaton was Yahweh. Reno agrees that when in the late first millennium, Jewish scholars inserted indications of vowels into the Hebrew Bible, they signaled that what was pronounced was Adonai, Lord. Non-Jews later combined the vowels of Adonai with the consonants of the tetragrammaton and invented the name Jehovah. Paul June and Takamitsu Urake state the kiri is the Lord, whilst the ketiv is probably, according to ancient witnesses, and they add note 1, in our translation we have used Yahweh, a form widely accepted by scholars instead of the traditional Jehovah. In 1869, Smith Bible Dictionary, collaborative work of noted scholars of the time, declared, whatever therefore be the true pronunciation of the word, there can be little doubt that it is not Jehovah. Mark P. Arnold remarks that certain conclusions drawn from the pronunciation of as Yahweh would be valid even if the scholarly consensus were not correct. Thomas Romer holds that the original pronunciation of capital Y HWH was Yahoo, or Yehu. Max Riesel, in the mysterious name of capital Y, capital H, capital W, capital A, said that the vocalization of the tetragram must originally have been Yehue or Yehuah. The element Yahweh is found in Amorite personal names Yahweh, Dagon, commonly denoted as the semantic equivalent of the Akkadian. The latter refers to one existing which, in the context of deities, can also refer to one's external existence, which aligns with Bible verses such as Exodus 3:15 and views that can mean I am the existing one. It also explains the ease of Israelites applying the olam or everlasting epithet from El to Yahweh. But J. Philip Hyde believes it is more likely that Yahweh refers to a God creating and sustaining the life of a newborn child rather than the universe. This conception of God was more popular among ancient Near Easterners, but eventually the Israelites removed the association of Yahweh to any human ancestor and combined it with other elements. Yahweh. Hillel ben Sasson says that there is insufficient evidence for Amorites using Yahweh to refer to a god, but he argues that it mirrors other theophoric names and that Yahweh, or more accurately, Yahweh, derives from the root HWY and Pei-El, which means he will be. Here we go. The adoption at the time of the Protestant Reformation of Jehovah, in place of the traditional Lord and some new translations, vernacular or Latin of the biblical tetragrammaton, stirred up dispute about its correctness. In 1711, Adrian Reeland, a Dutch Orientalist scholar, here we go, published a book containing the text of 17th century writings, 5 attacking and 5 defending it. 17th century. As critical of the use of Jehovah, it incorporated writings by Johannes van den Driesch, 1550 to 1616, known as Drusius. Sixtinus Amama, 1593, 1629, and Louis Capel, 1585, 1658, Johannes Busdorf, 1564 to 1629, and Jacob Alton, 1618, 1679. Defending Jehovah were writings by Nicholas Fuller, 1557, 1626, and Thomas Gallagher, 1574 to 1654, and 3 essays by Johann Leusden, 1624, 1699. The opponents of Jehovah said that the Tetragrammaton should be pronounced as Adonai, and in general do not speculate on what may have been the original pronunciation, although mention is made of the fact that some held that Javi was their pronunciation. Almost 2 centuries after the 17th century works reprinted by Reeland, 19th century Wilhelm Gesenius, a German Orientalist, reported in his Thesaurus Philologus on the main reason of those who argue either for or Yahweh as the original pronunciation of the Tetragrammaton, as opposed to Jehovah. He explicitly cited the 17th century writers mentioned by Reeland as supporters of, as well as implicitly citing Johann David Michaelis, 1717, 1791, and Johann Friedrich von Meyer. Now, all these people are German. 1772, 1849. The latter of whom Johann Heinrich Kurtz described as the last of those who have maintained with great pertinacity that was the correct and original pointing. Edward Robertson's translation of a work by Gesenius gives Gesenius' personal view as my own view coincide with that of those who regard this name as anciently pronounced Yahweh, like the Samaritans. Now let's scroll down to where it said non-biblical text with tetragrammaton. And it's very important. So, see, they've been finding this tetragrammaton. We in non-biblical text. They talking about over in Egypt, the hieroglyphics, talking about Yahweh. And it's all BCE. BCE. Not BC. Not even AD. We talking BCE. Talking about the tetragrammaton. Then we got texts with similar theonyms. Then they talking about the magical papyri. All right. Then we got vernacular evidence. Then we got the Hebrew Bible, the Masoretic text. Then you're talking about the Leningrad Codex. Now we're going to get to the Dead Sea Scrolls. You know, the Dead Sea Scrolls were found in 1946. And it took 10 years to actually gather all the information that had been found, that had been discovered in the Qumran caves. It took 10 years, but the actual discovery was in 1946. And they're talking about this Paleo Hebrew script. Now, this is a writing system found in Canaanite and Aramaic inscriptions, including pre-biblical and biblical Hebrew. And showing that they were treated specially. Most of God's names were pronounced until about the 2nd century BCE. Then, as a tradition, a non-pronunciation of the names developed alternatives for the tetragrammaton period, such as Adonai, Kyrios, and Theos. And then it says that the Roman Varro, 116-27 BC, defining him, that is the Jewish God, said that he is called Leo in the Chaldean Mysteries. And Van Kooten mentions that Leo is one of the specially Jewish designations for God, and the Aramaic papyri from the Jews at Elephanton show that Leo is an original Jewish term. The preserved manuscript from Qumran show the inconsistent practice of writing the tetragrammaton, mainly in biblical quotations. In some manuscripts is written in Paleo Hebrew script, square script, or replaced with 4 dots or dashes, tetrapuntum. The members of the Qumran community were aware of the existence of the tetragram, but this was not tantamount to granting consent for its existing use and speaking. This is evidenced not only by special treatment of the tetragrammaton in the text, but by the recommendation recorded in the rule of association. Who will remember the most glorious name, which is above all? Now they have a table here that shows all this. Then you get to the Septuagint. Editions of the Septuagint Old Testament are based on the complete or almost complete 4th century manuscripts. Codex Vaticanus, Codex Sinaiticus, and Codex Alexandrinus inconsistently used. Lord, when the Masoretic text has a tetragrammaton in Hebrew, this corresponds with the Jewish practice of replacing the tetragrammaton with Adonai when reading the Hebrew word. However, 5 of the oldest manuscripts now extant in fragmentary form render the tetragrammaton into Greek in a different way. 2 of these are of the 1st century BCE papyrus Foad. Right. 2 of these are the 1st century BCE. BCE now. All right. The first one was Papyrus Foad 266, and it said part of a papyrus manuscript in scroll form contained the Greek translation known as the Septuagint of the Pentateuch. And they have been assigned paleographically to the 1st century BCE. And then uses in the normal Hebrew alphabet in the midst of its Greek text. And then the other one is 4Q120. Uses the Greek transcription of the name. And so this is a Septuagint manuscript of the biblical book of Leviticus, written on papyrus, found at Qumran. Paleographically, it dates from the 1st century BCE. Currently, the manuscript is housed in the Rockefeller Museum in Jerusalem. It said it uses the Greek transcription of the name, 3-letter manuscripts, Paleo-Hebrew script, the Greek minor prophet scroll from Nahal Havir is a Greek manuscript or revision of the Septuagint, dates to the 1st century BC and the 1st century CE. The manuscript was kept in the Rockefeller Museum in Jerusalem. It was first published by, Then the Papyrus Zarathus is a small fragment of the Greek Septuagint, written in papyrus in scroll form, as one of the manuscripts discovered at Sorrentus. It has been cataloged with a number. It has been dated to the 1st century CE. And Papyrus Orientus 511 is a manuscript of the Greek Septuagint, Psalms written on papyrus in roll form. It has survived in a very fragmentary condition. Using the study of comparative writing styles, paleography, it has been dated to the middle of the 1st, middle or 2nd century CE. Okay, and then we have other extant ancient fragments of Septuagint or Old Greek manuscripts provide no evidence of the use of the tetragrammaton. It corresponds with the Hebrew text tetragram. They include the oldest known example, Papyrus Rylands. And Papyrus Rylands is a manuscript of the Pentateuch in the Greek Septuagint version of the Hebrew Bible. It is a roll made from papyrus, which has survived in a very fragmentary condition. It is designated by the number 957 on on the list of Septuagint manuscripts. It's saying that according to the numbering system devised by biblical scholar Alfred Rahibs, using the study of comparative writing style paleography, the manuscript has been dated to the middle of the 2nd century BCE. It's saying before the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, it was the oldest known manuscript of the Greek Bible. It has been invariably used in discussions around whether the Greek Septuagint translates used either the Tetragrammaton, name of God, in Hebrew, or the Greek title, Kyrios, Lord. But again, it says before the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, it was the oldest known manuscript of the Greek Bible. Now it says scholars differ on whether in the original Septuagint translation the Tetragrammaton was represented by the Tetragrammaton in either normal or Paleo-Hebrew form, or whether different translators used different forms in different books. Now, Frank Shaw argues that the Tetragrammaton continued to be articulated until the 2nd or 3rd century CE, and that the use of was by no means limited to magical or mystical formulas, but was still normal in more elevated contexts, such as that exemplified by Papyrus 4Q 1, 2, and 20. Shaw considers all theories that posit in the Septuagint a single original form of the divine name as merely based on a priori assumptions. Accordingly, he declared the matter of any, especially single, original form of the divine name is too complex. The evidence is too scattered and indefinite, and the various approaches offered for the issue are too simplistic to account for the actual scribal practices. He holds that the earliest stages of the translation were marked by diversity, with the choice of certain divine names depending on the context in which they appear. He treats of the related blank spaces in some Septuagint manuscripts and the setting of space around the divine name, 4Q 120 and Papyrus Fall 266b on page 265, and repeats that there was no one original form, but different translators had different feelings, theological beliefs, motivations, and practice when it came to their handling of the name. His view has won support in Meyer, Bob Becking, and comment on Shaw's 2011 dissertation on the subject, D.T. Runia. Now, Mogens Mueller said that while no clearly Jewish manuscript of the Septuagint has been found with representing the Tetragram, other Jewish writings of the time show that Jews did use the term for God, and it was because Christians found it in the Septuagint that they were able to apply it to Christ. In fact, the Deuterocanonical books of the Septuagint, written originally in Greek, like Wisdom and 2nd and 3rd Maccabees, do speak of God as, and thus show that the use of as a representation of must be pre-Christian in origin. Similarly, while consistent use of to represent the Tetragrammaton has been called a distinguishing mark for any Christian manuscript, Eugene J. Pintrier says no definitive conclusion has been reached thus far, and Sean McDonough denounces as implausible the idea that did not appear in the Septuagint before the Christian era. Speaking of the Greek minor prophet scroll from the Hebrew, which is a cave recension of the Septuagint, a revision of the old Greek text to bring it closer to the Hebrew text of the Bible, as it existed in second, first century BCE, and thus not necessarily the original text. Christian Detroit remarked, the problem with the recension is that one does not know what is the original form and what the recension. Hence, is the Paleo-Hebrew tetragrammaton secondary and part of the recension, or proof of the old Greek text? This debate has not yet been solved. While some interpret the presence of the tetragrammaton in Papyrus File 266, the oldest Septuagint manuscript in which it appears, as an indication of what was in the original text, others see this manuscript as an archaizing and Hebraizing revision of the earlier translation of this papyrus. Detroit asks, is it a recension or not? In this regard, she says that Emmanuel Toff notes that in his manuscript, a second scribe inserting the 4-letter tetragram where the first scribe left spaces large enough for the 6-letter word, and that Pythosma and Hanhart say the papyrus already contains some pre-hexaplayric corrections towards a Hebrew text, which would have had the tetragrammaton. She also mentions Septuagint manuscripts that have, and one that has, where the Hebrew text has a tetragrammaton. She concludes, it suffices to say that in Old Hebrew and Greek witnesses, God has many names. Most, if not all, were pronounced till about the 2nd century BCE. And slowly onwards, there developed a tradition of non-pronunciation. Alternative for the tetragrammaton appeared. The reading Adonai was one of them. Finally, before Curious became a standard rendering, Adonai, the name of God, was rendered with Theos. In the book of Exodus alone, represents the tetragrammaton 41 times. Robert J. Wilkinson said that the Greek minor prophet scroll from the Hebrew is also a cave recension, and thus not strictly a Septuagint text. Origen, commentary on Psalm 2:2, said that in most accurate manuscript, the name was written in an older form of the Hebrew characters, the Paleo-Hebrew letters, not the square. In the more accurate exemplars, the divine name is written in Hebrew characters, not, however, in the current script, but in the most ancient. While Pythosma interprets this statement as referring to the Septuagint, Wilkinson said one might assume that Origen refers specifically to the version of Aquila of Sinai, which follows the Hebrew text very closely, but he may perhaps refer to the Greek version in general. Then you got the manuscripts of the Septuagint and later Greek renderings. The great majority of extant manuscripts of the Old Testament in Greek, complete or fragmentary, dated to the 9th century CE or earlier, employed to represent the tetragrammaton of the Hebrew text. The following do not. They include the oldest now extant. Okay, 1st century. Okay, you got the 1st century BCE. Okay, number one. And then you got the 1st century CE. Then 1st and 2nd century. 3rd century CE. Manuscripts of the Greek translator. 2nd century CE. Alright. Then you got the patristic writings. When you say patristic, then you know you're in common era. Vulgate, Judaism, Kabbalah. Right. Okay, so we know that the Dead Sea Scroll is a very important find. Now they had some of these fragments that had been found before the Dead Sea Scroll, and they still find these fragments and things as they being discovered. But the Dead Sea Scroll is one of the most significant discoveries and like I said, remember, citations, footnotes, notes, references, and sources. Remember those. Very important. All right. Every time I sit here and talk about this tetragrammaton, right? And they start talking about the Protestant Reformation. Man. Martin Luther talking about indulgence. Man. Okay. Now, just one thing, some of these things are important. Now, we talking about the Protestant Reformation. The most famous immigration to America was the migration of Puritan separatists from the Anglican Church of England. They fled first to Holland and then later to America to establish the English colony of Massachusetts in New England, which later became one of the original United States. These Puritan separatists were also known as the Pilgrims. After establishing a colony at Plymouth, which became part of the colony of Massachusetts in 1620, the Puritan Pilgrims received a charter from the King of England that legitimized their colony, allowing them to do trade and commerce with merchants in England in accordance with the principle of mercantilism. Civil and religious restrictions were most strictly applied by the Puritans of Massachusetts, which saw various banishments applied to descendants to enforce conformity, including the branding iron, the whipping post, the bilboes, and the hangman's noose. Notable individuals persecuted by the Puritans include Anne Hutchinson, who was banished to Rhode Island during the antinomian controversy, and Quaker Mary Dyer, who was hanged in Boston for repeatedly defying a Puritan law banning Quakers from the colony. Okay. Okay. Let me see here. Okay. All that Protestant stuff, that's what I was looking at. And when we think about this Protestant stuff and the United States of America, there's a lot of things that people have done, stuff that happened in Europe that came to America as a result of the wars that were being fought between the Catholics and the so-called Protestants. That's what a lot of this immigration stuff is about. It's the fact that the Protestants were trying to run from the Catholics. anti-gang, anti-Gnostic, anti-hazing, also. Adversus heresies, translate me against heresies. Saint Irenaeus, the Bishop of Lyons, together with Saint Ignatius, the Bishop of Antioch, wrote a 5-volume book refuting Gnosticism, proving that Gnosticism was a heresy. The Almighty, conservative, vice lord, four-corner hustle. The Almighty, black, Princeton. The Almighty, Mickey Coldstone, cracker. The Almighty, black, disciple, Poppy. The Almighty Bluefin, black disciple, the black disciple. Lord, Stone, disciple. Gangster disciple killer, GDK. Glazed donut killer, GDK. 7-Eleven, G killer. Goat. And also remember Hippolytus of Rome. And also remember the refutation of all heresies. Remember, heresy in Judaism. Jewish heresy refers to those beliefs which contradict the traditional doctrines of rabbinic Judaism, including theological beliefs and opinions about the practice of halakha, Jewish religious law. Jewish tradition contains a range of statements about heretics, including laws for how to deal with them in a communal context and statements about the divine punishment they are expected to receive. Rabbinic definition of heresy, Talmudic error. The Greek term for heresy originally denoted division, sect, religious, or philosophical party. Is applied by Josephus to the three Jewish sects, Sadducees, Pharisees, and Essenes, in the sense of a schism to be deprecated. The word occurs in 1 Corinthians 11:19, Galatians 5:20, and particularly in 2 Peter 2:1. Hence, heretic in the sense of factious, Titus, the 2nd chapter, 10th verse. The specific rabbinical term for heresies or religious divisions due to an unlawful spirit is manim, literally kinds of belief. The singular men for heretic or Gnostic is coined idiomatically like God and Amharitz. You got to see Gnosticism. The law, you shall not cut yourselves, is interpreted by the rabbis. You should not form divisions, but shall form one bond. After Amos 9:6. Truth. Besides the term men for heretic, the Talmudic uses the words hizonim, outsiders, epicoros, and kofa ba Torah, or kofa ba ikar, he who denies the fundamentals of faith. Also, parish, me, da, zibor, he deviates from the customs of the community. Religious fundamentalists claim that all these groups are consigned to Gehinnom for all eternity and have no possibility of a portion in the world to come. The Mishnah in Sanhedrin 10:1 says the following: have no share in the world to come. One who says there is no resurrection of the dead derived from the Torah, and one who says the Torah did not originate from heaven. And Epikoros, Rabbi Akiva, says also one who reads external literature, Hebrew. This is explained in books of heretics. The biblical verse, so that you do not follow your heart and eyes, is explained as you should not turn to heretical views, minute, which lead your heart away from God. The Birkat Harmonium is a curse on heretics. The belief that the curse was directed at Christians was sometimes cause for persecution of Jews. Modern scholarship has generally evaluated that the Birkat Harmonium probably did not originally include Jewish Christians before Christianity became markedly a Gentile and, in the eyes of the rabbinic sages, idolatrous religion. Lord Stone disciple. Elvin Pepperlo Perry, real. Elvin Pepperlo Perry is true. You try to lie and thought you had got away. No, you ain't get away. Lord Stone disciple. Jeff Ford, real, true. See, you think people can't comprehend at that period of time how people had tried to, specifically how these European white Americans came over here from Europe, all this Protestant Reformation, the Catholic Reformation, and all those religious wars that were being fought after the Black Plague. The population of Europe had been, a lot of people died. A lot of people died. So after the Black Plague, it was a lot of things began to change in the Catholic Church. And one of the things that started becoming is the precursors to the Protestant or the Reformation. The precursors. But a lot of this happened after. A lot of this happened after the Black Plague, and so that's very significant. And so all those religious wars that were being fought between the Catholics and the so-called Protestants. And then when the Protestants didn't win the war, they ran. And what did they run to? A lot of them came from Europe to here to America. For example, the Huguenots, who were French. But some Catholics was waiting on them. They ended up getting killed down in Florida. But see, just like we just got to read about the Puritans and the Quakers and all them up in the northeast part of America. The 13 colonies, northeastern part of America. See, it was a lot of that Protestant stuff that came over here from Europe. And see, that would cause a lot of problems. See, that's the reason why when you be talking about Gnostic, see, that's what a lot of the Cathars and the Huguenots and all them other ones was some so-called Gnostics. The Catholic Church ain't never tolerated no Gnostics. So you can try to lie all you want. Just like I said, Jeff Ford, he was real. He's true. The Black P Stones. And on the 21 bricks, Mickey Caldwell, the Egyptian Cobras, the Mickey Cobras. On the 21 bricks. See, Lord Stone disciple, the Mickey Cobra Stones, the Black Disciples, all the original, the ones who were there when it was being established, and when they was establishing, King David Bardale became the king of the Black Disciples. That's being real and true. Lord Stone disciple, real, true. See, you try to lie. That's what this whole thing is about. Is that you try to lie. Mainly the white people. Because we as black / African American, we were being denied education. We were being denied our human rights through slavery. There wasn't no such thing as getting no education. Then when you get the opportunity to get education, you want to be a gangster. You want to be a damn homosexual. Could try to use narcissism like there's some kind of literature for you. Well, you're a homosexual. Because there's all based on St. Irenaeus, the Bishop of Lyons, together with St. Ignatius, the Bishop of Antioch. They refuted Gnosticism. They knew who the Gnostics were. The church fathers already told us. We know who these people are. They were Jews. Supposedly Jews. Probably some Pharisees, some Sadducees, and some Essenes, some heretics. They were some heretics. Some homosexuals. Every time you read something about these so-called Gnostics and the stupid stuff they do, it'd be a bunch of anal sex. The men having anal sex with men, then the men have anal sex with the women. Anal sex. No. They won't have no vaginal sex. No. It was the men being dominant. Being dominant over the women. Ain't no woman finna be walking around trying to tell these white men as violent as these white men about God or gods. Talking about two white women having vaginal sex. Well, okay. No, it's about anal sex. The men having anal sex with another man, and then the men having anal sex with the women. See, Lord Stone disciple is not about no anal sex. See, it's some individuals in the past as well as in the present who had this opinion that they were going to try to go around and try to undermine Lord Stone disciple. Based on a lie. That's all you've been doing, lying. It's just like out there in California, the so-called blood gang, crip gang. All you doing lying. Trying to use Gnosticism. Anal sex. Trying to use Gnosticism. Anal sex. St. Epiphanes of Salome, the Bishop of Cyprus. 3-volume book. Expose all that so-called Nazi nonsense. Every time you read about the so-called Nazi, you see the same thing. They ain't do no lying. They just make up the same damn lie and have anal sex. And that's all you people doing today. It's just have anal sex. Trying to have anal sex. You ain't doing a line. You ain't doing nothing right. Because from the very beginning, it never was right for no so-called Nazi. There were Rabbi Akiva and all the other rabbis in Judaism. I already told you. You wasn't never doing what was right. What was right was to be a Jew. Not to be no Nazi. Not to be a Nazi. That's what Rabbi Akiva and all the other rabbis told you. If it was what you wanted to do was right, be a Jew. That's doing right. And the Catholic Church told you the same thing. If you wanted to be right and you wanted to do right, be a Catholic. Not no Gnostic. So no, ain't no Gnostic trying to do anything that's right. You just lying. That's the reason why the Catholic Church told all them Protestants, starting with Martin Luther, as well as all them other Protestants. They told you, you was wrong. You a heretic. If you want to be right, be a Catholic. So just like I told you, Lord Stone disciple, ain't no different. You can't be going around talking about no anal sex and trying to act like you don't know. Historically, the Jews and the Catholics already told you that it's wrong. That Gnostic is wrong. And since they already told you it's wrong, you're wrong. You thought you could run and hide. Just like I've been telling you. You thought you got away. And I know you thought you got away. You thought you got away. Just like when I was growing up, even before I was born. When I look at my dad and my mom, I see my dad and my mom, I think about my grandma and my granddad. On my mama's side and my daddy's side. They from Mississippi. You tried to go behind their back with this stupid Gnostic nonsense. They found that what? Nagama Library in 1946. They didn't even have possession of the Nagama Library. They had possession of them other codexes. The Askew Codex, the Berlin Codex, the Bruce Codex. They had possession of that. And you thought you could fool me. Well, black/African American, we were denied education. So the white Europeans, they had access to that information. We didn't. So that information possibly was being used against black/African Americans. Just like slavery. Slavery ain't never been right for any human being. Past, present, and future. They ain't never been right. It's the same thing on nothing. It ain't never been right. It's wrong. Don't try to go behind Elvin Pepperlo Perry back. Trying to go behind Bobby Gore back. Trying to go behind any and everybody back. Went behind my grandma and my granddaddy back. Talking about they don't know what they talking about. Then gonna go out to California, Los Angeles. Talking about some Gnosticism. See, you weren't doing them a line. See, this what I showed Lord Stone disciples in Chicago. They were lying. They didn't even have possession of the Nagama Library. We all got access to the same. They did not have access to the Nagama Library. But I guarantee some criminal was walking around trying to talk about the Nagama Library, talking about Gnosticism to people who didn't even have education. That's what you did. That's wrong. The so-called sorority and fraternity. The sohos and frat bitches that you've been going around looking for. Well, go ahead and look for them. I'm doing the same damn thing you doing. Because I want revenge. I'm doing the same damn thing. Looking for the soho and the frat bitch to get revenge. I'm going to get your ass back. Background check. I'll find you. I'll find your mama, your dad, your sister, your brother, your grandson, your granddaughter. I'm going to get your ass back. I ain't taking nothing off you. I ain't going to take it. God damn it, I ain't going to take it. I ain't got to take it. You ain't no damn back. Background check. It's messed up, man. Every time I think, Lord, stone disciple. It's real. That's true. Talking about some blood gang, crip gang. Them bitches from down here. They from Louisiana. From Alabama. From Mississippi. From Texas. Man. Try to use narcissism. The local. Then you got all these damn local people walking around talking about some bloodstone dealing, some limestone. Man. Talking about the Crip gang and all this, man. Well, like I said, hey, like I've been telling, hey, time. It's, hey, ain't got to be in no hurry. Ain't got to be in no damn hurry. Ain't got to be in no hurry. Time. See, you thought you had all this time. You thought you had all this time just to make a damn fool out your own self. Because that's all you've been doing. Making a damn fool out your damn self. That's all you've been doing. Sitting up here and making up all these damn lies and going around trying to have anal sex. You the damn fool. What the hell do heterosexual people do? But it got to be some damn homosexuals got to do all this mess just to lie. Lord Stone disciple. Real. True. See, then you got all the other peoples and the folk. See, it ain't no reason for no animosity. You can just go on with that damn, all that lying. Because that's what it's going to come down to anyway. You just lying. So, I mean, what going to sell drugs and get into a shootout? See, that's what all these stupid local people do. The city of Memphis. But you got other places in the state of Tennessee. You got Nashville. And then further east, you got Knoxville, Chattanooga. Okay, them about the 4 largest places in the state of Tennessee. But then you got these little places like Jackson, Tennessee. And then all these other little areas all around the state of Tennessee. Then down to Mississippi. Close by the city of Memphis. You got these little areas in northern Mississippi, right up the state line. What, you gonna sell drugs and get into a shootout? See, this is the reason why I tell you people, man, this local shit. You short term. Lord Stone disciple, long term. See, you can't come up to Chicago being from Horn Lake, Mississippi. No, I'm finna get realistic. It's just like the city of Jackson, Tennessee. That little small town. Look, you ain't finna come up to Chicago. It's just like coming to the city of Memphis. Talking about you from Jackson, Tennessee. And I'm walking around trying to be tough. From Jackson, Tennessee. And I'm walking around. You ain't finna come from no Olive Branch, Mississippi. And then come all the way up to Chicago with your chest stuck out. See, this local stuff, you ain't gonna get confused about these local people. Everybody don't live in the same location. You ain't gonna pull that. No. Especially you damn hoes. You ain't finna never pull no. See, some of you people walking around just like that gangster disciple. See, you walking around trying to make it sound like you got away. You ain't got away with nothing. You ain't got away with nothing. Ain't talking about some black gangster new breed. You ain't got away with nothing. I already know what you tried. Narcissism. Okay. The damn homosexual. You ain't got away with nothing. Because see, you don't even see what I was doing and what I be doing. To be walking your ass around trying to say you got away with anything. You didn't even see what I was doing in the past when my daddy was alive. When I got out of prison. You don't even see what I was doing. To be walking your head around talking about you got away. When my dad was alive, he was living right here in this house in 2009. He was still alive. My dad passed away in 2012. He was still alive. See, this is the reason why I be telling you, you thought you got away. Because I was walking around on these streets. You thought you got away. Trying to act like you crazy. Trying to act like you crazy. You ain't crazy. You fucking ignorant. You just ignorant. Don't know what the hell you talking about. Talking about some, just like in the history of the gangster disciple. Talking about some little kids over at Larry Hoover's house across the street from the guys and gals nightclub they used to be open. And they looking out the window. It's some supposedly gangsters and hustlers. Hell, they ain't know what they was talking about. But you want to be just like them. The Lord Stones and Disciples had the whole city of Chicago under their control. You looking out the window. It's some supposedly gangsters and hustlers. See, that's narcissism. Because I want to, you know, how the Lord Stones and Disciples got the whole, they run the whole with an iron fist. And they looking out the window. Larry Hoover looking out the window. It's some so-called gangsters and hustlers outside the window. But the Lord Stones and Disciples. On the border of Ranger territory and Disciple territory. Larry Hoover and the rest of them, they looking out the window. You know damn well they ain't supposed to happen. Talking about they started a group called the Supreme Gangsters. See, this is how you mislead little children. Narcissism. See, this is how little children got misled and get misled. Because you ain't finna say, like the so-called gangsters and hustlers outside the window, like they know what they talking about. They misled, and then the little children over Larry Hoover and the rest of them little kids that was in his house, they were misled. Say that. Say that. Yeah. They was misled. The some gun that was outside the window, they were misled. And Larry Hoover and the rest of them little kids that was up in the house with him, they were misled. Just like the black gangster new breed. When you talk about the history of the black gangster new, you're talking about some little kids trying to be violent. But yet it's still Lord Stone disciples. Trying to and some little group call themselves gonna try to be quick with the trigger. See, I know narcissism. I know you've been misled. And you being misled. There ain't no such thing, no narcissism. There ain't no such thing. See, the same damn lie they tried to make up in the past, them the same damn lies you making up today. And just like the Catholic Church didn't tolerate that damn mess, they don't tolerate that mess today. And I ain't either. And I'm not gonna tolerate it either. See, this is the reason why when Minister Rico and Jimmy and Benny Lee I hit the cord. My fault. I hit the cord. And the cord was pulling the phone down. But like I said, Minister Rico in Chicago, he know that's the leader. Benny Lee and Jimmy and a lot of the men had gotten older. A lot of men who actually knew Edwin Pepperlo Perry actually knew before he got incarcerated. That's the leader. Don't no damn body get away with trying to lie. That's the point I've been making the whole time. You don't get away with lying. You don't get away with lying. It's just like Jeff Fort and then this other guy, this Eugene Harrison. I already know. See, this Eugene Harrison, he showed me that he was being influenced by narcissism. I already see it. I saw it. When I seen them Harper boys, I know. Narcissism. And then talking about his family moved from Ohio and all. I already know. Narcissism. I already know. See, a lot of stupid stuff. Waikita is out of prison now. That's the leader. And then there's a lot of other men in Chicago, Black Prince Stone. It's just like the Mickey Coblestone. All this nonsense, this Nazi nonsense. The Mickey Coblestone. You try to mislead people with this stupid Nazi mess. This homosexual stuff. That's all it is. Homosexual. St. Epiphanius of Salome, the Bishop of Cyprus, already documented all these different groups. Excuse me. In the past, yesterday, and all the stupid stuff they done. And then here it is today. You got the nerve to sit around and it's just like the Black Disciples, King David Bosdale, and all the original men who were there, who established the Black Disciples and what the Black Disciples was trying to do. Just like OG and Cowboy was sitting there, they were talking about how they had Breakfast Club and how the Black Panthers and stuff was in Chicago and all these different other locations. See, you can't look at people and think that they trying to do what's right. See, that's what had caused a problem out there in Los Angeles. The so-called Black Panthers. The so-called Black Panthers. See, you can't fool you can't put no veil over some individuals. Some people be sincere, then other people not. Some people, the only thing they trying to do is commit some kind of crime or crimes. They just some damn criminals. They're just a way for them to keep committing crimes. Talking about the avenues or whoever the hell, you know. But you had individuals, all they want to do is commit some crimes. That's it. And try to use narcissism. So that was a way for them to get up under other people and have a way where they can be around other people in Los Angeles. But see, the black disciple, they ain't got nothing to do with that nonsense out there in Los Angeles, California. No shape, form, or fashion. Don't have nothing to do with you. Period. Lord Stone disciple is Lord Stone disciple. Don't have nothing to do with no blood gang, no crip gang. Period. But you got individuals who call themselves trying to use narcissism, trying to depend on some bitches on the East Coast, thought they were going to get away with trying to lie. Thought you were going to get away with lying. You don't even see what I was doing before my daddy passed away. You don't even see what I was doing because I wasn't trying to let you get away with a goddamn thing. I walk around mad and I'm still walking around mad. Talking about some narcissism. My dad and mom was alive then. They both done passed away now. When I made that music video, you don't even see what I was doing. You don't even see what I was doing. I wasn't trying to take nothing off you. Nothing. I was out for revenge. You don't even see what I was doing and what I'm doing. King David Bosdale real. King David Bosdale true. Don Dirt. And a lot of the men that gotten older. They ain't got to worry about none of you people, man. That's the reason why I do the things I do. I want you to be able to see. They was lying. When you talk about the Protestant Reformation, them the same damn people, when they lost the war, they came over here. They ran from the Catholics. They then came over here to America. The 13th colony. Who is the 13th colony? Some damn refugees from the Protestant Catholic War. Some damn refugees. That's who the 13th colony is. Some damn refugees, some Protestant refugees from Europe who lost the war, running from the Catholics. Talking about some Gnostic. The Catholic Church already told you it's wrong. The Jews already told you it's wrong. Already told you. Lord Stone disciple is real, it's true. A lot of men, the black disciple, they getting older, but no matter what, Lord Stone disciple is real, it's true. The Jews already told you it's wrong. Gnosticism is a heresy. The Catholics already told you Gnosticism is a heresy. It's wrong. That's it. You ain't got to say nothing else. Gonna show you. Just gonna show you. You thought you was going to get away with lying. Well, you ain't get away with lying. You ain't get away. Just ain't got your ass yet. But time. Just ain't got you yet. You thought you got away. You thought you done something. Thought you got away. No, you ain't get away. No. You ain't got away. This one of them times when have, you gotta be patient. You gotta be patient. Talking about some damn hoe. Talking about some gangster disciple hoe. And some black gangster new breed hoe. And you talking about you got away. Just ain't got your ass yet. That's all that is. Just ain't got you yet. Because I ain't taking a goddamn thing off. Nothing. They talking about some Crip gang and blood gang, some hoes. Just ain't got you yet. That's what that is. Just ain't got your ass yet. You think on that. Just ain't got your ass yet. See, when I think about Lord Stone disciple, they really, really make me mad. They really make me mad. Innocent men, women, children. Because when you get just being a human being, just like the Protestant Reformation, the Catholic Church already told them white people it was wrong. And you going to intentionally try to ignore what the Catholic Church, even the Jews telling you is wrong. If you want to do what's right, you want to hear what's right, God damn it, the Jews told you it's wrong. The Catholic Church sat there and told you it's wrong. They told you it's wrong. What else do a person got to do? But you made it up in your mind. You said, fuck what you got to say. I don't give a damn if it is wrong. I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. That's your attitude. That's your point of view. Then you want to get into a war. For no reason. There ain't even no reason for the Protestant Reformation War. The religious war. The Jews told you it's wrong. The Catholic Church, they did everything. They told you it's wrong. They told you it's wrong. Then what you do? You want to get into a war. Man. Like that makes sense. Like that makes sense. Like, you ain't trying to do what's right. You don't give a damn about what's right. Okay. Then there's a big ass war. Then you start whining and crying because you're suffering. Well, hell, you the one want to be in the war. If you had to just listen to what the Catholic Church told, it's wrong. They told Martin Luther, it's wrong. They told all these people. They had told Martin Luther before he even did the 95 Theses. All them other ones. They burned one of them, got burned to the stake. To show you it's wrong. What he do? He gonna call himself, gonna try to talk about indulgence. After the Catholic Church already showed you, they already told you it's wrong. But you didn't care. It didn't matter that it was wrong. Then it's a war. Then you want to whine and cry because you lost the war and now your ass is a refugee. You suffer. You ain't got no land. You ain't got no house. You ain't got no food. It's cold. It's winter time. I'm freezing to death. Well, hell, the Catholic Church had already told you. It's wrong. The Jews already told you. It's wrong. Gnosticism is wrong. There ain't even no such thing, no Gnosticism. There ain't no such thing. They just made it up. They made it up. Talking about the material world evil. Man, you be syncretized. You take information from all these different places and then make up something. The material world. That was the people in philosophy, the Greek philosophy we talking about. Like the Catholic, like the church fathers in the Catholic Church told, we see these people. They some so-called Jews, some Hellenized Jews. We see who these people is. We see them. They some Hellenized Jews. You know, they some so-called Jews. Them the Hellenized Jews. They talking about they gonna teach you Gnosticism. How they gonna teach some nonsense? There's no such thing. Only thing you do is steal information. You incorporate information from all these different religions and faiths and beliefs, and then make up something. Give it a name, Gnosticism. The Catholic Church, the Jews had already told the Protestant it's wrong. They told Martin Luther. The Catholic Church had already told Martin Luther about Wycliffe and Tyndale. They had already told you. Who was it? Zwingli? He the one that got burned. They burned him. Is he the one that got burned at the stake? You know the one I'm talking about. The Catholic Church burned him at the stake. Talking about he a prophet. Talking about he a prophet. Man, they burned him at the stake. And you gonna sit up here and try to talk about some Protestant? Then here you come with this indulgence. Then they show they bring you to the diet of he get proven to be a heretic. They showed you again that you wrong. They showed you again you're wrong. You don't care. It don't matter. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. So then a war break out. Then you lose the war. And then what you do, you try to run to another land. You run to another land because you can't survive in Europe. So what you run to another land. You're a refugee on the run from the Catholics. Then you come over here. The first and Native Americans already living here. So what you do, you come over here and oppress the people who are already living here. People ain't said nothing to you or did nothing to you. But you come over here with guns and bullets trying to oppress the original inhabitants of this land. On the run from the Catholics. You don't care. It don't make no difference. I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want to do. Lord Stone disciple. Lord Stone disciple. You ain't got the cure. Because I don't care about you. You ain't got the cure. Because I don't give a damn about you. Ain't gonna show you. Got time. Ain't gonna show you. Because the Catholic Church already told. The Jews already told. The Catholic Church already told. So you don't have to care. And I don't give a damn about you. Straight to the point. See, that's what I show Minister Rico. They sitting up here talking about they don't care. Well, hell, I don't care nothing about you. I don't give a damn about no gangster disciple. I don't give a damn about no black gangster new breed. Period. And I damn sure don't give a damn about no damn people on no East Coast talking about no nothing. I don't give a damn about you. The Catholic Church already told you it's wrong. You ain't got the cure. I don't care nothing about you. Period. That's the same thing that so-called Crip gang, blood gang, making up shit. Hey, you ain't got the care. I don't care nothing about you. Ain't gonna show you. Time. See, the Jews already told you it's wrong. They already told you. The Catholic Church already told you it's wrong. You ain't got the cure. Because I don't care nothing about you. You ain't got the cure. See, that's what I showed Mills Rico and Benny Lee. You ain't got to give a damn about these people, man. You ain't got to let nobody treat you like that, man. The Jews already told you about Nazism, and the Catholic Church already told you it's wrong. That's the end of the conversation. Ain't nothing to talk about. Here it is, 2024, and we still talking about, man, no. Like something gonna change. Hell, the Jews and the Catholics already told you, and they still telling you the same damn thing. It's wrong. Just like I said, Waikiki ain't got to give a damn about nobody trying to claim they no stone. Don't worry about it. They thought they got away. Don't worry about it. Don't lose no sleep at night about nothing. Don't worry about it. You ain't got to worry about it. Don't worry about it. You ain't got the cure. Gonna show you. Yeah, Don Dirt. I seen OG Swan. You ain't got to worry about nothing, man. You ain't got to lose no sleep at night. You ain't got to worry about nothing. It's wrong. The Jews already told you it's wrong. The Catholic Church already told you Gnosticism is wrong. It's a heresy. That's the end of the conversation. You ain't got to worry about it. And whoever running their mouth, whoever walking around, don't worry about it. You ain't got to lose no sleep at night about no homosexual walking around. Especially goddamn hoes. Don't worry about it. Because I don't care nothing about it. You don't care, you ain't got to care. Because I don't give a damn about you. That's what I want to do. Show your ass. I don't care nothing about you. Don't give a damn about your ass. Tell you, man. Before I end today's video, I'm gonna review and the things that been talked about, starting with the Jewish principles of faith. Judaism does not centralize authority in a single individual group. The formulation of principles of faith that are universally recognized by all branches of Judaism. Stop right there. Branches of Judaism. Let me click on that. Let's make this clear. Jewish religious movements, sometimes called denominations, include diverse groups within Judaism which have developed among Jews from ancient times. Today in the West, the most prominent divisions are between traditionalist Orthodox movements, including Haredi, ultra-traditionalist, and modern Orthodox branches, and modernist movements such as Reform Judaism. Reform Judaism originated in late 18th century Europe, and conservative Masorti originating in 19th century Europe, and other smaller ones, including the Reconstructionist and Renewal movements, which emerged later in the 20th century in the United States. In Israel, variation is moderately similar, different from the West and having roots in the old Yishuv and pre to early state Yemenite infusion, among other influences, for statistical and practical purposes. The distinctions there are based upon a person's attitude to religion. Most Jewish Israelis classify themselves as secular, traditional, religious, or ultra-religious. The Western and Israeli movements differ in their views on various issues, as do those of other Jewish communities. These issues include the level of observance, the methodology for interpreting and understanding Jewish law, biblical authorship, textual criticism, and the nature or role of the Messiah or Messianic age. Across these movements, there are marked differences in liturgy, especially in the language in which services are conducted, with the more traditional movements emphasizing Hebrew. The sharpest theological division occurs between traditional Orthodox and the greater number of non-Orthodox Jews adhering to other movements or to none, such that the non-Orthodox are sometimes referred to collectively as the liberal or progressive streams. Other divisions of Judaism in the world reflect being more ethnically and geographically rooted. Beta Israel, Ethiopian Jews, and Beni Israel among the ancient Jewish communities of India. Normatively, Judaism excludes from its composition certain groups that may name or consider themselves ethnic Jews but hold key beliefs in sharp contradiction. For example, modern or ancient Messianic Jews. All right. So those are Jewish religious movements or considered the branches of Judaism. There is no central authority in Judaism and exists today, although the Sanhedrin, the supreme Jewish religious court, would fulfill this role if it were reestablished. Instead, Judaism's principles of faith remain debated by the rabbis based on their understanding of the sacred writings, laws, and traditions, which collectively shape its theological and ethical framework. The most accepted version, in this sense, is the opinion of Maimonides. Judaism affirms the existence and uniqueness of God and stresses performance of deeds or commandments alongside adherence to a strict belief system. In contrast to religions such as Christianity, which demand a more explicit identification with God, faith in Judaism requires one to honor God through adherence to God's instructions, Torah, and the practice of all the mitzvot. Orthodox Judaism stresses a number of core principles in its educational program. Most importantly, they believe that there is one single omniscient, transcendent, non-compound God who created the universe and continues to be concerned with its governance. Traditional Judaism maintains that God established a covenant with the Jewish people at Mount Sinai and revealed his laws and 613 commandments to them in the form of the written and oral Torah. In Rabbinic Judaism, the Torah consists of both the written Torah, Pentateuch, and the tradition of oral law, much of it later codified in sacred writings. Then you need to see the Mishnah or Talmud. Traditionally, the practice of Judaism has been devoted to the study of Torah and observance of its laws and commandments. In normative Judaism, the Torah and hence Jewish law itself is unchanging, but interpretation of the law is more open. It is considered a mitzvah, commandment to study and understand the law. The proper counterpart for the general English term faith, as occurring in the expression principle of faith, would be the concept of emunah. In Judaism, the word amen comes from the word and means trust. I trust, believe. While it is generally translated as faith or trust in God, the concept of emunah can more accurately be described as an innate conviction, a perception of truth that transcends reason. Emunah can be enhanced through wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and learning of sacred Jewish writings, but emunah is not simply based on reason, nor can it be understood as the opposite of or stand in contrast to reason. There are a number of basic principles that were formulated by medieval rabbinic authorities that are put forth as fundamental underpinnings inherent in the acceptance and practice of Judaism. The conception of God, monotheism. Judaism is based on a strict monotheism and a belief in one single indivisible non-compound God, the Shema Yisrael. One of the most important Jewish prayers encapsulate the monotheistic nature of Judaism. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Judaism emphatically rejects any concept of plurality with respect to God, explicitly rejecting polytheism, dualism, and Trinitarianism, which are incompatible with monotheism as Judaism understands it. The unity of God is stated many times in Jewish tradition. It is the second of Maimonides' 13 principles of faith. Maimonides wrote that this God is one, not two or more than two, but one, whose unity is different from all other unities that there are. He is not one as a genus, which contains many species, is one. Nor is he one as a body, containing parts and dimensions. He is one. But he is a unity in which there is no other anywhere. Yad, Yesod, Ha, Torah, 1-7. In Jewish tradition, dualistic and Trinitarian conceptions of God are generally referred to as shetuf, partnership, meaning an incorrect but not an idolatrous view. God is the creator of the universe. Most Jews believe that God is creator of the universe. Different sets of Jews view this in different ways. For example, some ultra-Orthodox groups reject the concept of evolution and believe the earth to be only a few thousand years old. Other groups of Orthodox and non-Orthodox Jews do not believe in a literal interpretation of the Genesis creation narrative. In accordance to that view, Judaism is not in contradiction to the scientific model that states that the age of the universe is around 13.77 billion years old. Norbert M. Samuelson writes the question of dating the universe has never been a problem of Jewish philosophy, ultimately because that philosophy has never been the literal meaning of the Bible to be its revealed true meaning. All right, let me scroll. The nature of God. The Jewish view is that God is eternal, with neither beginning nor end, a principle stated in a number of biblical passages. The rabbis taught a quite literal, down-to-earth view of the eternalness of God, that God is eternal, but it is not given to man to explore the full meaning of this idea, and so one cannot therefore expect to find in the rabbinic literature anything like a detailed examination of what is meant by divine eternity. A famous Mishnah statement on attempts to pierce the veil is this: whoever reflects on four things, it were better for him that he had not come into the world. What is above, what is beneath, what is before, and what is after. The traditional Jewish view is that God is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnibenevolent. Various Jewish thinkers, however, have proposed a finite God, sometimes in response to the problem of evil and ideas about free will. Louis Jacobs writes that modern Jewish thinkers such as Levi Olin, echoing some classical Jewish writers such as the 14th century Talmudists, Gersonides, have thought of God as limited by his own nature, so that while he is infinite in some respect, he is finite in others. Referencing the idea present in classical sources that there is a primal, formless, material coexistence with God from all eternity upon which God has to work, and that God only knows the future in a general sense, but not how individual men will exercise their choice. On the topic of omniscience and free will, Jacobs writes that in the medieval period, three views were put forth. Maimonides, who wrote that God had foreknowledge and man is free. Gersonides, who wrote that man is free and consequently God does not have complete knowledge. And Hesediah Crackers, who wrote in Or Adonai that God has complete foreknowledge and consequently man is not really free. All right, let me scroll. Soul devotion to the Creator. Within Judaism, the essence of worship is deeply rooted in a belief of monotheism, emphasizing the exclusive devotion to the Creator. This principle dictates that worship and reverence should be directed solely towards God. As articulated by Maimonides' fifth principle of faith, according to this belief, no entity aside from the Creator is deemed worthy of worship. The revelation of Scripture. The Hebrew Bible, or Tanakh, is the Jewish scriptural canon and central source of Jewish law. The word is an acronym formed from the initial Hebrew letters of the three traditional subdivisions of the Tanakh: the Torah, teaching also known as the 5 books of Moses or Pentateuch, the Nevi'im, prophets, and the Ketuvim, writings. The Tanakh contains 24 books in all. Its authoritative version is the Masoretic text. Tradition, the text of the Tanakh was said to have been finalized at the Council of Jamnia in 70 CE. Although this is uncertain, in Judaism the term Torah refers not only to the 5 books of Moses, but also to all of the Jewish scriptures, the whole of Tanakh, and the ethical and moral instruction of the rabbi, the oral Torah. In addition to the Tanakh, there are 2 further textual traditions in Judaism: Mishnah, tractates expounding on Jewish law, and the Talmud, commentary of Mishnah and Torah. These are both codifications and redactions of the Jewish oral tradition and major works in rabbinic Judaism. The Talmud consists of the Babylonian Talmud, produced in Babylon around 600 CE, and the Jerusalem Talmud, produced in the land of Israel circa 400 CE. The Babylonian Talmud is the more extensive of the two and is considered the more important. The Talmud is a representation of the Torah, though through sustained analysis and argument, with unfolding dialogue and contention between rabbinic sages. The Talmud consists of the Mishnah, a legal code, and a Gemara, are Aramaic for learning, in analysis and commentary to that code. Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz writes that if the Bible is the cornerstone of Judaism, then the Talmud is the central pillar. No other work has had a comparable influence on the theory and practice of Jewish life, shaping influence on the theory and practice of Jewish life, and states, the Talmud is the repository of 1,000 years of Jewish wisdom and the oral law, which is as ancient and significant as the written law. The Torah finds expression therein. It is a conglomerate of law, legend, and philosophy, a blend of unique logic and shrewd pragmatism of history and science, anecdotes and humor, although its main objective is to interpret and comment on a book of law. It is simultaneously a work of art that goes beyond legislation and its practical application. And although the Talmud is, to this day, the primary source of Jewish law, it cannot be cited as an authority for purposes of ruling. Though based on the principle of tradition and the transmission of authority from generation to generation, it is unparalleled in its eagerness to question and re-examine convention and accepted views and to root out underlying causes. The Talmudic method of discussion and demonstration tries to approximate mathematical precision, but without having recourse to mathematical or logical symbols. The Talmud is the embodiment of the great concept of mitzvah Talmud Torah, the positive religious duty of studying Torah, of acquiring learning and wisdom, study which is its own end and reward. Moses and the Torah. Orthodox and conservative Jews hold that the prophecy of Moses is held to be true, is held to be the chief of all prophets, even of those who came before and after him. This belief was expressed by Maimonides, who wrote that Moses was superior to all prophets, whether they preceded him or rose after. Moses attained the highest possible human level. He perceived God to a degree surpassing every human that ever existed. God spoke to all other prophets through an intermediary. Moses alone did not need this. This is what the Torah means when God said, mouth to mouth, I will speak to him. The great Jewish philosopher Philo understands this type of prophecy to be an extraordinarily high level of philosophical understanding which had been reached by Moses and which enabled him to write the Torah through his own rational deduction of natural law. Maimonides described a similar concept of prophecy. Since a voice that did not originate from a body cannot exist, the understanding of Moses was based on his lofty philosophical understandings. However, this does not imply that the text of the Torah should be understood literally as according to charisma. Rabbinic tradition maintained that God conveyed not only the words of the Torah, but the meaning of the Torah. God gave rules as to how the law were to be understood and implemented, and these were passed down as an oral tradition. This oral law was passed down from generation to generation and ultimately written down almost 2,000 years later in the Mishnah and the two Talmuds. The origins of the Torah. The Torah is comprised of 5 books called in English Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. They chronicle the history of the Hebrews and also contain the commandments that Jews are to follow. Rabbinic Judaism holds that the Torah extant today is the same one that was given to Moses by God on Mount Sinai. Maimonides explained, we do not know exactly how the Torah was transmitted to Moses, but when it was transmitted, Moses merely wrote it down like a secretary taking dictation. Thus, every verse in the Torah is equally holy, and they all originate from God and are all part of God's Torah, which is perfect, holy, and true. Prophecy. Jews believe that the Almighty Creator at times chooses to prophesy. Much of such occurrences are described in the Nevi'im, the books of the prophets. However, since the destruction of the first temple, prophecy has ceased. The oral Torah. Orthodox Jews view the written and oral Torah as the same as Moses taught for all practical purposes. Conservative Jews tend to believe that much of the oral law is divinely inspired, while Reform and Reconstructionist Jews tend to view all of the oral law as an entirely human creation. Traditionally, the Reform movement held that Jews were obliged to obey the ethical but not the ritual commandments of Scripture. Although today many Reformed Jews have adopted many traditional ritual practices. Karate Jews traditionally consider the written Torah to be authoritative, viewing the oral law as only one possible interpretation of the written Torah. Most modern Orthodox Jews will agree that while certain laws within the oral law were given to Moses, most of the Talmudic laws were derived organically by the rabbis of the Mishnah and Talmudic era. God's relationship with men. Judaism focuses more on how God defines men than one trying to define God. There is therefore a focus on what people are expected to be or do far more than on spelling out theological beliefs. People are born with both a tendency to do good and to do evil. Jewish tradition mostly emphasizes free will, and most Jewish thinkers reject determinism on the basis that free will and the exercise of free choice have been considered a precondition of moral life. Moral indeterminacy seems to be assumed both by the Bible, which bids man to choose between good and evil, and by the rabbis, who hold the decision for following the good inclination rather than the evil, rests with every individual. Maimonides asserted the compatibility of free will with foreknowledge of God. Only a handful of Jewish thinkers have expressed deterministic views. This group includes the medieval Jewish philosopher Hasidic Christ and the 19th century Hasidic rabbi Mordecai Yosef Leiner of Izbeka. All is necessary for God because he is perfect, but for mankind all is possible by virtue of choice. The two types of view are true with knowing about the prophet, who is endeavored with God to be wise and to perform miracles for him. Judaism affirms that people are born with both a Yisur Hara, an inclination or impulse to do good, and with a Yisur Hara, an inclination or impulse to do evil. These phrases reflect the concept that within each person there are opposing natures continually in conflict and are referenced many times in the rabbinic tradition. The rabbis even recognize a positive value to the Yisur Hara. Without the Yisur Hara, there would be no civilization or other fruits of human labor. Midrash states, without the evil inclination, no one will father a child, build a house, or make a career. The implication that Yisur Hatov and Yisur Hara are best understood not only as moral category of good and evil, but as the inherent conflict between man, between selfless and selfish orientation. Judaism recognized two classes of sin: offenses against other people and offenses against God. Offense against God may be understood as violation of a contract, the covenant between God and the children of Israel. Once a person has sinned, there are various means by which they may obtain atonement. See atonement in Judaism. Judaism rejects the belief in original sin. Both ancient and modern Judaism teaches that every person is responsible for his own actions. The existence of some innate sinfulness on each human being was discussed in both biblical Genesis 8:21, Psalm 51:5, and post-biblical source. However, in a biblical verse, this is brought as an argument for divine mercy, as humans cannot be blamed for the nature they were created with. Some apocryphal and pseudepigraphic sources express pessimism about human nature. Grandma Eva's seed was sown in Adam's heart from the beginning. In the Talmud, Avodah Zarah has an unusual passage which Elder Kiesler described as the serpent seduced Eve in paradise and impregnated her with spiritual, physical dirt, which was inherited through the generation. But the revelation at Sinai and the exception of the Torah cleansed Israel. Kiesler states that although it is clear that belief in some form of original sin did exist in Judaism, it did not become mainstream teaching nor dogmatically fixed, but remained at the margins of Judaism. Reward and punishment. The mainstream Jewish view is that God will reward those who observe his commandments and punish those who intentionally transgress them. Examples of rewards and punishment are described throughout the Bible and throughout classical rabbinic literature. The common understanding of this principle is accepted by most Orthodox and conservative and many Reformed Jews. It is generally rejected by the Reconstruction. See also free will and theology. The Bible contains references to Sheol, literally gloom, as a common destination of the dead, which may be compared with the Hades or underworld of ancient religions. In later traditions, this is interpreted either as hell or as a literary expression for death or the grave in general. Israel, chosen for a purpose. God chose the Jewish people to be in a unique covenant with God. The description of this covenant is the Torah itself. God further declared in the Torah through prophecy to Moses that his firstborn is the Israelite. However, closeness and being chosen does not imply exclusivity, as anyone can join and convert. Included in the idea of being chosen is that Jews were chosen for a specific mission, a duty to be a light unto the nation, and to have a covenant with God as described in the Torah. The Messiah. Judaism acknowledges an afterlife, but does not have a single or systemic way of thinking about the afterlife. Judaism places its overwhelming stress on Olam Hazi, this world, rather than Olam Haba, the world to come. And speculations about the world to come are peripheral to mainstream Judaism. In Perky Avat, Ethics of the Father, it is said that 1 hour of penitence and good deeds in this world is better than all the life of the world to come. But 1 hour of spiritual repose in the world to come is better than all the life of this world, reflecting both a view of the significance of life on earth and the spiritual repose granted to the righteous in the next world. Jews reject the idea that Jesus of Nazareth was the Messiah and agree that the Messiah has not yet come. Throughout Jewish history, there have been a number of Jewish Messiah claimants considered false by Jews, including most notably Simon Bar Kokhba and Sabata Ziva, whose followers were known as Sabbateans. Now, let's go over here to dualism and cosmology. I'm going to click over here to Britannica first. Then I'm going to come back to Wikipedia. Dualism in religion, the doctrine that the world or reality consists of two basic, opposed, and irreducible principles that account for all that exists. It has played an important role in the history of thought and of religion. The nature and significance. In religion, dualism means that the belief in two supreme opposed powers of gods or sets of divine or demonic beings that cause the world to exist. It may conveniently be contrasted with monism, which sees the world as consisting of one principle, such as mind, spirit, or matter. With monotheism or with various pluralisms and polytheism, we see a multiplicity of principles or powers at work. As is indicated below, however, the situation is not always clear and simple, a matter of one or two or many, for there are monotheistic, monistic, and polytheistic religions with dualistic aspects. Various distinctions may be discerned in the type of dualism in general. In the first place, dualism may be either absolute or relative. In a radical or absolute dualism, the two principles are held to exist from eternity. For example, in the Iranian dualism, Zoroastrianism and Manichaeism, both the bright and beneficent and the sinister and destructive principles are from eternity. In a mitigated or relative dualism, one of the two principles may be derived from or presuppose the other as a basis. For example, the Bogomils, a medieval heretical Christian group, held that the devil is a fallen angel who came from God and was the creator of the human body, into which he managed by trickery to have God infuse a soul. Here the devil is a subordinate being and not co-eternal with God, the absolute eternal being. This then is clearly a qualified, not a radical dualism. Both radical and mitigated types of dualism are found among different groups of the late medieval Cathari and Christian heretical movement closely related to the Bogomils. Another and perhaps more important distinction is that between dialectical and eschatological dualism. Dialectical dualism involves an eternal dialectic or tension of two opposed principles, such as in Western culture, the one and the many, or idea and matter, or space called by Plato the receptacle, and in Indian culture, Maya, the illusory world of sense experience and multiplicity, and Atman Brahman, the essential identity of self and ultimate reality. Dialectical dualism ordinarily implies a cyclical or eternally repetitive view of history. Eschatological dualism, a dualism concerned with the ultimate destiny of humanity and the world, how things will be in the last times, on the other hand, conceives of a final resolution of the present dualistic state of things, in which evil will be eliminated at the end of a linear history constituted of a series of unrepeatable events instead of a cyclical repetitive one. The ancient Iranian religions, Zoroastrianism and Manichaeism and Gnosticism, a religio-philosophical movement influential in the Hellenistic world, provide examples of eschatological dualism, a type of thought, such as Platonism, that insists on a profound harmony in the cosmos, is thus more radically dualistic because of its irreducibly dialectical character than Zoroastrianism and Manichaeism, with their emphasis on the cosmic struggle between two antithetical principles, good and evil. Midway between these extremes is Gnostic dualism, which has an ontology or theory of being of an orphic, Platonic type. See below among ancient civilizations and people, but which also affirm the final disappearance and annihilation of evil with the eventual destruction of the material world, and thus comprise of both dialectical and eschatological dualism. In philosophy, dualism is often identified with the doctrine of transcendence, that there is a separate realm or being above and beyond the world, as opposed to monism, which holds that the ultimate principle is inside the world, immanent. In the disciplines concerned with the study of religion, however, religious dualism refers not to the distinction or separation of God and the world, but to the doctrine of two basic principles, a doctrine that, moreover, may easily be compatible with a form of monism, Orphism, or the Advaita school of Vedanta, that makes the opposition between the one and the many absolute and sees and multiplicity merely a fragmentation or illusory obliteration of the one. Now you have historical varieties of religious dualism among ancient civilizations and peoples such as Egypt and Mesopotamia, Greece and the Hellenistic world, Iran, among South and East Asian religions such as in India, in China, among religions of the West. You have Judaism. No real dualism is found in Judaism, except in the Gnostic and Theosophic forms of Jewish mysticism known as Kabbalah. The presence of a vigorous and universal monotheism implies not only faith in a single creative God, but also faith in a God who is the uncontested master of history, and neither Satan nor Belial detracts from this absolute monotheism. All right, let me scroll right quick. Okay, then you have Christianity. In Christianity, dualistic concepts appear principally in its Gnostic development. But even in the second century Judaizing sect of Encratites, which was not really Gnostic, there were dualistic aspects that had modified some tendencies of later Judaism. Okay, all right, let me scroll. And it says the Gnostic dualist view survived in late antiquity and into the Middle Ages, both in the East, among the Mandaeans, the Yazidi, and some extreme sects within the Shiite branch of Islam, and in the West among the Bogomils and Cathari, and it is still present today in modern theosophy. Then you have among religions of modern indigenous peoples, you know, like the North American Indian mythology, the Raven, and then among Paleo-Siberians, Southeast Australian tribes, even on the continent of Africa, you have the people in Western Sudanese, the Nomo, among the Dogon. You have indigenous people that live all over this planet. And this dualistic teaching is found among peoples all over the earth. All right. Now let's click over here to Wikipedia. Dualism and cosmology. Now, being on Wikipedia, let me make a scroll down to the bottom. Because see, when you be on Wikipedia or quick rap, look, always remember citations. You got footnotes, notes. You got references and sources. Remember that. Dualism and cosmology. Dualism or dualistic cosmology is the moral or belief that two fundamental concepts exist, which often oppose each other. It is an umbrella term that covers a diversity of views from various religions, including both traditional religions and scriptural religions. Moral dualism is belief of the great complement of or conflict between the benevolent and the malevolent. It simply implies that there are two moral opposites at work, independent of any interpretation of what might be moral and independent of how these may be represented. Moral opposites might, for example, exist in a worldview that has one God, more than one God, or none. By contrast, duotheism bitheism or ditheism implies at least two gods. While bitheism implies harmony, ditheism implies rivalry and opposition, such as between good and evil, or light and dark, or summer and winter. For example, a ditheistic system could be one in which one God is a creator and the other a destroyer. In theology, dualism can also refer to the relationship between the deity and creation, or the deity and the universe. See, theistic dualism. Their form of dualism is a belief shared in certain traditions of Christianity and Hinduism. Alternatively, in ontological dualism, the world is divided into two overarching categories. Within Chinese culture and philosophy, the opposition and combination of the universe's two basic principles are expressed as yin and yang, and are traditionally foundational doctrine of Taoism, Confucianism, and some Chinese Buddhist schools. Many myths and creation motives with dualistic cosmology have been described in ethnographic and anthropological literature. The motives conceive the world as being created, organized, or influenced by two demiurges, cultural heroes, or other mythological beings who compete with each other or have a complementary function in creating, arranging, or influencing the world. All right, let me scroll. Moral dualism is the belief of the great complement or conflict between the benevolent and the malevolent, like ditheism and bitheism. Moral dualism does not imply the absence of monist or monotheistic principle. Moral dualism simply implies that there are two moral opposites at work, independent of any interpretation of what might be moral, and unlike ditheism and bitheism, independent of how these may be represented. For example, Mazdian Zoroastrianism is both dualistic and monotheistic, but not monist by definition, since in that philosophy God, the creator, is purely good, and the antithesis, which is also uncreated, is an absolute one. Mandeism is monotheistic and Gnostic, and in its cosmology, the world of light that is good is contrasted with the world of darkness or underworld that is evil. Zurvanism, Zurvanite Zoroastrianism, and Manichaeism are representative of dualistic and monist philosophy, since each has a supreme and transcendent first principle from which the two equal but opposite entities then emanate. This is also true for the suppressed Christian Gnostic religions such as Mogumism and Catharism, and so on. More complex forms of monist dualism also exist, for instance, in Hermetism, where now thought that is described to have created man, brings forth both good and evil, dependent on interpretation whether it receives prompting from the God or from the demon. Duality with pluralism is considered a logical fallacy. Now it said that moral dualism began as a theological belief. Dualism was first seen implicitly in Egyptian religion believed by the contrast of the gods Set, disorder and death, and Osiris, order and life. The first explicit conception of dualism came from the ancient Persian religion of Zoroastrianism around the mid-5th century BC. Zoroastrianism is a monotheistic religion that believes that Ahura Mazda is the eternal creator of all good things. Any violation of Ahura Mazda's order arises from Druj, which is everything uncreated. From this comes a significant choice for humans to make. Either they fully participate in human life for Ahura Mazda, or they do not and give Druj power. Personal dualism is even more distinct in the beliefs of later religions. The religious dualism of Christianity between good and evil is not a perfect dualism, as God, good, will inevitably destroy Satan, evil. Early Christian dualism is largely based on Platonic dualism. You need to see Neoplatonism and Christianity. There is also a personal dualism in Christianity with a soul-body distinction based on the idea of an immaterial Christian soul. Now, duotheism, bitheism, ditheism. When used with regard to multiple gods, dualism may refer to duotheism, bitheism, or ditheism. Although ditheism and bitheism imply moral dualism, they are not equivalent. Bitheism implies at least two gods, while moral dualism does not necessarily imply theism, theos equals God, at all. Both bitheism and ditheism imply belief in two equally powerful gods with complementary or autonomous properties. However, while bitheism implies harmony, ditheism implies rivalry and opposition, such as between good and evil, bright and dark, or summer and winter. For example, a ditheistic system would be one in which one God is creative, the other is destructive. Theodicy. In the original conception of Zoroastrianism, for example, Ahura Mazda was the spirit of ultimate good, while Ahriman Angramania was the spirit of ultimate evil. In a bitheistic system, by contrast, where the two deities are not in conflict or opposition, one could be male and the other female. Duotheism, one well-known example of a bitheistic or duotheistic theology based on gender polarity, is found in the neo-pagan religion of Wicca. In Wicca, dualism is represented in the belief of a god and a goddess as a dual partnership in ruling the universe. This is centered on the worship of a divine couple, the moon goddess and the horn god, who are regarded as lovers. However, there is also a ditheistic theme within traditional Wicca, as the horn god has dual aspects of bright and dark, relating to day, night, summer, winter, expressed as the oak king and the holy king, who in Wiccan myth and ritual are said to engage in battle twice a year for the hand of the goddess, resulting in a change in season. Within Wicca, bright and dark do not correspond to notions of good and evil, but are aspects of the natural world, much like yin and yang in Taoism. Radical and mitigated dualism. Radical dualism, or absolute dualism, which posits two co-equal divine forces. Manichaeism conceives of two previously coexisting realms of light and darkness, which become embroiled in conflict owing to the chaotic actions of the latter. Subsequently, certain elements of the light became entrapped within darkness. The purpose of material creation is to enact the slow process of extraction of these individual elements, at the end of which the kingdom of light will prevail over darkness. Manichaeism likely inherits this dualistic mythology from Zoroastrianism, in which the eternal spirit of Ahura Mazda is opposed by his antithesis Angra Manu. The two are engaged in a cosmic struggle, the conclusion of which will likewise see Ahura Mazda triumph. The hymn of the pearl included the belief that the material world corresponds to some sort of malevolent intoxication brought about by the powers of darkness to keep elements of the light trapped inside it in a state of drunken distraction. Mitigated dualism is where one of the two principles is in some way inferior to the other. Some classical Gnostic movements, as the Sethians, conceive of the material world as being created by a lesser divinity than the true God that was the object of their devotion. The spiritual world is conceived of as being radically different from the material world, coextensive with the true God and the true home of certain enlightened members of humanity. Thus, these systems were expressive of a feeling of acute alienation within the world, and their resultant aim was to allow the soul to escape the constraints presented by the physical realm. However, bitheistic and ditheistic principles are not always so easily contrastable. For instance, in a system where one God is the representative of summer and drought and the other of winter and rain fertility, the mythology of Persephone, Martianism, and early Christian sect held that the Old and New Testament were the work of two opposing gods. Both were first principles, but of different religions. Theistic dualism. In theology, dualism can refer to the relationship between God and creation or God and the universe. This form of dualism is a belief shared in certain traditions of Christianity and Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, or Mazdaism. Mazdaism is one of the world's oldest continually practiced religions based on the teachings of the Iranian-speaking prophet Zoroaster. It has a dualistic cosmology of good and evil and the eschatological, which predicts the ultimate conquest of evil by good. Zoroastrianism exalts an uncreated and benevolent deity of wisdom known as Ahura Mazda, wise Lord, as its supreme being. Manichaeism was a major religion founded in the 3rd century AD by the Parthian prophet Mani in the Sasanian Empire. Manichaeism taught an elaborate dualistic cosmology describing the struggle between a good spiritual world of light and an evil material world of darkness. Through an ongoing process that takes place in human history, light is gradually removed from the world of matter and returned to the world of light whence it came. Its beliefs were based on local Mesopotamian religious movements and Gnosticism. In Christianity, the dualism between God and creation has existed as a central belief in multiple historical sects and traditions of Christianity, include Marcionism, Catharism, Paulicianism, and other forms of Gnostic Christianity. Christian dualism refers to the belief that God and creation are distinct but interrelated through an indivisible bond. However, Gnosticism is a diverse, syncretistic religious movement consisting of various belief systems, generally united in the belief in a distinction between a supreme transcendent God and a blind, evil demiurge responsible for creating the material universe, thereby trapping the divine spark within matter. Gnosticism is not limited to Christianity and also incorporates belief from other Abrahamic traditions such as early Jewish sects. Now let's click over here to syncretism. Syncretism is the practice of combining different beliefs and various schools of thought. Syncretism involves the merging or assimilation of several originally discrete traditions, especially in the theology and mythology of religion, thus asserting an underlying unity and allowing for an inclusive approach to other faiths. While syncretism in art and culture is sometimes likened to eclecticism, in the realm of religion, it is specifically denotes a more integrated merging of beliefs into a unified system, distinct from eclecticism, which implies a selective adoption of elements from different traditions without necessarily blending them into a new cohesive belief system. Syncretism also manifests in politics known as syncretic politics. And scroll down to religious syncretism. Religious syncretism is the blending of two or more religious belief systems into a new system, or the incorporation into a religious tradition of beliefs from unrelated traditions. This can occur for many reasons. And the latter scenario happens quite commonly in areas where multiple religious traditions exist in proximity and function actively in a culture, or when a culture is conquered and the conquerors bring their religious beliefs with them, but do not succeed in entirely eradicating the old beliefs or especially practices. Religions may have secretive elements to their beliefs or history, but adherents of so labeled systems often frown on applying the label, especially adherents who belong to revealed religious systems such as the Abrahamic religions or any system that exhibits an exclusivist approach. Such adherents sometimes see syncretism as a betrayal of their pure truth. By this reason, adding an incompatible belief corrupts the original religion, rendering it no longer true. Indeed, critics of a syncretistic trend may use the word or its variants as a disparaging epithet, as a charge implying that those who seek to incorporate a new view, belief, or practice into a religious system pervert the original faith. Non-exclusivist systems of belief, on the other hand, may feel quite free to incorporate other traditions into their own. Let me see. In sets like the Cathars and the Paulicians. This is a dualism between the material world created by an evil God and a moral God. Historians divide Christian dualism to absolute dualism, which held that the good and the evil gods were equally powerful, and mitigated dualism, which held that material evil was subordinate to the spiritual good. The belief by Christian theologians who adhere to a libertarian or compatibilist view of free will, that free will separates humankind from God, has also been characterized as a form of dualism. The theologian Leroy Stevens Rauner compares the dualism of Christianity with the dualism that exists in Zoroastrianism and the Samkhya tradition of Hinduism. The theological use of the word dualism dates back to 1700 in a book that describes the dualism between good and evil. All right, let me see. What time is it? All right, let me scroll down. Okay, the Cathars in Hinduism. Then you have ontological dualism. Alternatively, dualism can mean the tendency of humans to perceive and understand the world as being divided into two overarching categories. In this sense, it is dualistic when one perceives a tree as a thing separate from everything surrounding it. This form of ontological dualism exists in Taoism and Confucianism, and the foundational theory within traditional Chinese medicine. Beliefs that divide the universe into the complementary opponents of yin and yang. In traditions such as classical Hinduism, Samkhya, Yoga, Vaisheshika, and the later Vedanta schools, which accepted the theory of gunas. Chinese Pure Land and Zen Buddhism or Islamic Sufism, a key to enlightenment, is transcending this sort of dualistic thinking without merely substituting dualism with monism or pluralism. All right, then you have in other religions, you got these different groups of people that live, All right, let's click over to mind-body dualism. In the philosophy of mind-body dualism denotes either the view that mental phenomena are non-physical, or that the mind and body are distinct, inseparable. Thus, it encompasses a set of views about the relationship between mind and matter, as well as between subject and object, and is contrasted with other positions, such as physicalism and inactivism in the mind-body problem. Now let me, all right, scroll a little bit. Dualism is closely associated with the thought of Rene Descartes, 1641, who hold that the mind is a non-physical and therefore non-spatial substance. Descartes clearly identified the mind with consciousness and self-awareness and distinguished this from the physical brain as the seat of intelligence. Hence, he was the first documented Western philosopher to formulate the mind-body problem in the form in which it exists today. However, the theory of substance dualism has many advocates in contemporary philosophers such as Richard Swinburne, William Haskell, J.P. Moreland, E.J. Lowell, Charles Taylor, and so on. Dualism is contrasted with various kinds of monism. Substance dualism is contrasted with all forms of materialism, but property dualism may be considered a form of non-reductive physicalism. Okay, types. Ontological dualism makes dual commitments about the nature of existence as it relates to mind and matter, and can be divided into three different types. Substance dualism asserts that mind and matter are fundamentally distinct kinds of foundations. Property dualism suggests that the ontological distinction lies in the difference between properties of mind and matter, as in emergentism. Predicate dualism claims the irreducibility of mental predicates to physical predicates. All right, and then you got substantial Cartesian dualism, emergent dualism, Thomistic dualism, property dualism, epiphenomenalism, predicate dualism, then dualist views of mental causation, and so on and so forth. Arguments for dualism. Arguments against dualism. Now, while we've been talking about mind and body, dualism, there's a thing called trialism. Trialism in philosophy was introduced by John Cottingham as an alternative interpretation of the mind-body dualism of Descartes. Trialism keeps the two substances of mind and body, but introduces a third substance, sensation, belonging to the union of mind and body. This allows animals which do not think like humans to be regarded as having sensations and not as being mere automata. So, now let's go to the background. Cottingham introduced this term after noting that Descartes' account of sensation and imagination has placed his official dualism under considerable pressure. Partly as a result of this, we often see the emergence in Descartes' writings on human psychology of a grouping of not two but three notions. Not a dualism, but what may be called a trialism. According to Cunningham, the cartridge added the third notion of sensation alongside thought and extension without proceeding to ratify it as a separate substance. Thinkers such as Daniel Garber and Thad Schmatz supported this by citing a letter in the correspondence between the cartridge and Princess Elizabeth of Bohemia, which indicated that he changed his mind from a dualistic view. And then you got Christian trialism. And then you got Christian trialism is the doctrine that humans have three separate essences, body, soul, and spirit, based on a literal interpretation of 1 Thessalonians 5:23. And the very God of peace sanctify you wholly, and I pray God, your whole spirit and soul and body be preserved, blameless unto the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. This doctrine holds the soul to belong to the union of the body and the spirit, which makes it roughly compatible with philosophical trialism. However, the evangelist Kenneth Copeland was criticized by critics such as Hank Hanegraaff for extending trialism to each person in the Trinity for a total of 9 essences. Okay, so I ain't got nothing. It's dealing with philosophy. Well, I'm going to get ready to end today's video. And again, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also on BrightShine, right here in the city of Memphis in the county of State, Tennessee. Thank all my family, my support for you, continue to encourage the boy. I thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for the Son of God, for all the blessing and guidance provides all with. Continue to pray for peace. We still have wars that are being fought all over the planet, all over the earth. Pray for peace. You know, there's a war being fought in Russia, you know, and pray for peace. You know, been hearing things on the news about some North Koreans coming to fight. You know, it's gonna be wintertime. It's, you know, hey, but pray for peace. The war still being fought in Israel, in Gaza. You know, continue to pray for peace. Pray for the hostages, that they be able to be released and return to their families. And pray that, you know, that the war in Israel and be over, and pray for the Palestinian people. That you know that there's gonna be a peace agreement, a ceasefire, and that the humanitarian relief could be given to the Palestinian people. You know, there are wars being fought in North and South, Southern, you know, or Northern Africa, as well as in Sub-Saharan Africa. War being fought in Sudan, as well as in other places all over the continent of Africa. Just wars being fought all over the world, all over this earth, all over this planet. So let's together all pray for peace, that there can be peace, and that people can work out something, and that they can be peace. And so, as I stated earlier, Lord Stone disciple is real and true. And all them lies that people try to tell, try to use Gnosticism, and try to lie. That's what they did. They tried to lie. And that's what they be doing. They be lying. The Jews have already told you that it's a heresy. They already told you in the etymology of, you know, Hamil and men. It's a heresy. It's wrong. The Catholic Church already told you. The church fathers had already identified people as being some kind of Jew who was going around trying to teach Gnosticism. They had already refuted and proved that Gnosticism was a heresy. Proved it. St. Irenaeus, the Bishop of Lyons, together with St. Ignatius, Bishop of Antioch. St. Epiphanes of Salome, the Bishop of Cyprus, wrote a 3-volume book. St. Athanasius, the Bishop of Alexandria, banned all non-Christian, right? Him and all the other bishops in the Catholic Church, they went around and collected all that Gnostic theologian, right, and tried to destroy it. Some of the Gnostic theologians, right, didn't get destroyed. For example, the Anschutz Codex, the Berlin Codex, and the Bruce Codex didn't get destroyed. It's Gnostic. The Nag Hammadi Library, it didn't get destroyed. It's Gnostic. All that Gnostic theologians, right, that didn't get destroyed is being investigated and studied all over the world, the colleges and universities all around the world. It's a heresy. It's wrong. The Catholic Church had told them so-called Protestants, they told you that stuff was wrong. Then you want to get into a religion war. You ain't want to listen. You ain't want to listen. You ain't care. Well, it was a religious war, and you lost. You lost. The Holy Roman Empire went to war. You lost. Then you want to run. Then you become a refugee on the run. What you do? You come over here to America and oppress the first and Native Americans. As well as then you go around oppressing people all over the planet, all over the earth. Slavery wrong. Always have been, always will be. Wrong. You don't care, they ain't don't care, you know. I'm gonna come back on my next video. We're gonna stay on it. Lord Stone Disciple is real and it's true. It's real and it's true. See, when you stand on Lord Stone Disciple being real and true, see, the other, my peoples and the folk, see, when they try to go all that includes all the folks in my people. So you see how the people from the East Coast thought they're going to try to play crazy and try to come up to Illinois, come to the city of Chicago, as well as the surrounding states. You ain't smart. See, this is really why I tell the people in Chicago, Lords and the Stones and the Disciples, when I was sitting, when my daddy, my mama, and my brother came up to the prison, the day I got out of prison, they came and got me. They came to the prison and picked me up. Then we came back home. My family came and picked me up from the prison. I was mad then, and I'm still walking around mad. See, you can't get away with lying, man. That lying stuff, you ain't getting away with that lying. You ain't gonna get away with it. Like I said in the past, I'm Conservative by Lord Incorporated, Bootstrap Incorporated. It's coming back. It's gonna be revitalized. And see, the Stone had their headquarters. It's coming back. It's coming back. The Black Disciple, they had their headquarters. It's coming back. See, all those things were good things. They was right. Those things are coming back. It's coming back. You can't stand on a lie. You ain't get away with it. And whatever you thought you was getting away with, trying to come up to Chicago from the East Coast and coming to the state of Illinois from the East Coast, okay. And going out there to California, talking about that blood gang, Crip gang, and going all around all these different cities and communities, you ain't getting away. These local people, talking about they in the blood gang, crip gang. Time. And their so-called gangster disciple. You ain't getting away. Especially them damn hoes. You ain't getting away. Time. And the black gangster new breed. Talking about some damn hoe walking around. Talking about some black gangster new breed. Okay. You ain't getting away. See, when make your ass stand up, you ain't gonna stand up. You ain't gonna stand up. See, that's the reason why I do the things I do. Because when it come down to it, when you got to bag it up, when you got to stand up, you ain't gonna stand up. You ain't gonna bag it up. See, you got all these colleges and universities all around the world. You ain't talking about nothing. Talking about no nonsense. You ain't talking about nothing. Anything you got to do with some religion, they already know about it at the college and university all around the world. So it ain't nothing new. It ain't nothing new. So whatever you thought you was getting away with, trying to horseplay, you ain't getting away. Trying to run and hide, you ain't getting away with that. Call yourself trying to be self-destructive and destructive, trying to destroy wildlife, nature, and trying to destroy the environment, trying to do little sneaky stuff, right? The North and South Pole, the climate, now you're going out in space. You ain't gonna stand on a lie though. So I'm gonna come back on my next video, man. We're gonna stay right on it, man. We're gonna stay right on. Cause see, when you got to bag it up, you ain't gonna bag it up. So it's not like I'm doing the same thing over and over again. It's just I'm just standing on truth. And so if any the so-called so-hoes and the frat bitch gonna try to come behind me, see, at these colleges and universities all around the world, it ain't nothing that they don't know about. There ain't nothing they don't know about. So when I make my beat, see, you just telling the truth. I'm not telling no lie. I'm just telling the truth. And then you got somebody talking about they in a sorority and fraternity, talking about they got a bachelor's degree, got a master's degree, got a PhD, and you talking about some nonsense. When that information ain't suppressed. Until next time, man, take care of yourself. Wish you one very best.